Hi, welcome to another Behind the Line with me, Chef Danny Davies. Cuisine, collab and cocktails. We'll be talking to some of the hottest yacht chefs around. Hi, another episode of Behind the Line with Chef Danny Davies. Today we're here at LMC with Chef Patricia Clark. Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
How are you doing?
Thank you.
Fist pump.
I'm great.
You're here now on a boat at the moment.
I am. I'm on Motor Yacht Ocean Club.
And that's having some work done, hence why you're in LMC.
We are just wrapping up a yard period where some things have gotten tightened up and fixed, and I'm excited to get the charter season going.
Awesome. So how did you become a chef to start off with, and then how did you kind of get into yachting?
How I became a chef is very organic and simple in a way. I did not start out thinking I would be a chef. I went into the finance industry.
Oh, into finance, yeah.
Straight out of college, and I was living in San Francisco, not making any money yet, and I wanted to meet people. And I didn't have money to go to all the fancy bars and restaurants. So if I met somebody interesting, I would invite them over for the only thing I knew how to make at the time, which was spaghetti. Spaghetti. Real straight up spaghetti out of a box. I was not a chef in any way. So I would invite people over for spaghetti. It became very popular. Suddenly 60 people were showing up within a month to eat spaghetti. And very quickly I was making other things than just spaghetti for like the mayor's office and the opera house.
Oh, fantastic. So like private chefing?
Like ad hoc catering, and then still doing my day job. And I was very lucky. The Italian Cultural Center at the time became one of my clients very quickly, and asked me to cater this event. And a guy walked up to me and said, I need a chef.
Wait. The Italian people, Italian who?
Italian Cultural Center.
Cultural Center had you making Italian food for them?
Yeah,
wow,
yes.
That's an accomplishment.
It was an interesting time, and I was really into it.
You must have been. So someone approached you?
Someone approached me and asked me to be his new chef of his new cafe in Sardinia. And this simple tourist kind of thing. And I quit my job and off I went.
To Sardinia? To
Sardinia, yeah.
Fantastic.
And it was a wild time, really. I had no restaurant experience, no formal cooking experience, and I did not speak Italian. But I learned all those things. But once you do that, once you get through a thing like that, you're hooked.
Yeah, and food's food, right? My first head chef job was an Italian restaurant, and everyone spoke Italian, nobody spoke English. So all the checks came in Italian, everyone spoke Italian. Yeah, it's crazy, but you learn, right?
Wow, yeah,
I mean, chicken's still chicken, beef's still beef,
yeah,
right?
it was. Well, it was interesting because they were really courting a lot of American guests at the time. So it was some standard Italian things, lunch and dinner, but really playing up. Italians at the time were being very curious also to vacationing more in America, and Vegas was very popular. So the owner wanted the names of all the salads to be Las Vegas names. It was really
from that
simple.
Place, sorry to interrupt you. From that place, you went on to do a formal training or more restaurants?
Yes, so I thought I'd better learn something. So I finished that situation and thought, okay, I want to do this, but I can't do it like this. So I went back to San Francisco, got a simple job cooking for a college who had bought this gorgeous brownstone, and they needed someone to come cook for their staff and students. So I did that while I researched cooking schools, and eventually went to a Le Cordon Bleu program.
Oh, yeah? So how did you get into yachting then from there?
Yachting is another very organic start. I was catering in New York City this time. I'd moved myself to New York, and
because you set up your own catering company, right?
Yeah, and I had done that after Italy. I'd done it in California, multiple places, and then wanted to try New York. So I was in New York, and an agent called me and said, "We need someone with a security clearance." And I had cooked for some dignitaries and high net worth individuals before. So I had a low clearance, and this agent called me and said, we need somebody to teach the chefs on this yacht how to cook for Americans. So could you come in one day for like 8 hours and go over the menu, teach the crew, and you're off. Well, what happened is I got on board, only woman, mostly Filipino and some Serbian chefs. It was Topaz, so a very large yacht, has since changed names. But at the time, I got on, taught everyone, and all of a sudden we left. They just left. They left port, left, and I thought, hey,
I'm still on board.
I'm just here for the day. So head of staff came down and said, could you stay for 2 weeks? It was an amazing, amazing time. And I filed it away as, maybe this is something interesting. And then it still took me several years. And
yeah, because you were telling me before where you got into the Oscars and all kinds of things, right?
Yeah, and in LA, as is very common, there were a lot of TV productions that needed food, and so it was easy for me to jump in on that front. I got a lot of work very quickly, which I was really lucky for.
So Hollywood, with all the celebrities.
A lot of Hollywood, many celebrities. I've seen a lot of sound stages and a lot of interviews.
Yeah. So you had a little taste of yachting. So how did you actually get your first job out, going off and getting your SCTW and all that kind of stuff? How did you do that?
Actually, I was catering in Miami, and someone called me and asked me if I could come on and do this 1 month for people who were vegan and gluten-free.
Okay.
And
because you're kind of vegan yourself, vegan plus.
I would say I'm vegan plus.
Yeah.
I do have dairy sometimes, but I align a lot to what you were talking about in your book, which is eating vegan most of the time, not just for health, but also for environmental reasons and to be considerate of this planet that we're all sharing.
That's true.
And a lot of chefs have been talking about the idea of eating vegan most of the time while still indulging, and it really should be considered an indulgence. Other yummy things like dairy and meat.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. But so you're in Miami.
So I'm in Miami, and I was asked to do this. It went great. I loved it. It was a really small boat, 120 foot.
Oh yeah.
And there were just a handful of crew. We all got along great. We had such a good time, but I didn't know anything at the time. I didn't know about STCWs or anything. And actually it was the first mate who talked me through all the steps I needed to take to do it. And I did.
Where did you do your course?
Blue Water.
Oh, Blue Water here in Fort Lauderdale.
Blue Water in Fort Lauderdale, exactly. And I was commuting from Miami to Fort Lauderdale to do it, but it was totally worth it. I met also a lot of great people in the classes who we still follow each other and communicate. And you know,
that's fantastic, isn't it? The network.
Yeah, the network, and it really starts there. And yachting is really a small world because even though we're all over the world, we see each other's at marinas everywhere we go.
Yeah, everyone knows who's on each other's boat, right?
I was at Rybovich just a few weeks ago, and I ran into that first mate who got me into yachting.
Wow. And
it was great to see him and say, hey, I've been on all these boats now and I love this life, and it's awesome.
So which chef do you admire the most?
In the States, there are several, but I would say Jose Andres is the international chef I admire the most because his approach to not just integrity of food wherever he is, but the way he feeds people and the way he looks at food, not just as an indulgence, but as respectful of nourishment. And I think that comes across in every project he's ever done, whether it's super high end or whether it's Chile in the middle of a disaster. He really walks the walk.
Oh.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I find him absolutely inspirational.
Fantastic. What a good answer, eh?
Thanks. But so yeah, he's the top for me.
So, Patricia, you've been doing this quite a while now, right?
I have.
14 years, 15 years, 14?
I've been a chef 25
years.
Yeah.
And how long in yachting?
In yachting, full time, only 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah, but
So
I've been on a lot of boats.
Been on a lot of boats, yeah.
A lot of boats.
So which one do you prefer? Do you prefer for private boats or charter boats?
I prefer charter.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love the challenge. I love the unknown. I love the push.
Mm-hmm.
On charter, you get a different set of tastes every time and a different feeling. Really, even if you're the most cohesive crew out there, all kinds of different things come up, all different guest needs, all different weather challenges. And every time it's a new opportunity to work together and impress each other and
grow a bit more with his team, right?
Grow as a team,
yeah.
And also keep leveling up.
Mm-hmm.
Because every time I'm faced with a new place, a new port, a new, as I said, tastes and preferences of the guests, I get to face a blank page where I start writing that menu. And some people love very elaborate breakfast. Some people don't want breakfast at all.
So talk me through your day then. So
Okay.
how do you do it? So let's say someone's chartering the boat, you got 2 weeks, ideal situation, you get your preference list. What do you do from there?
I first make a sample menu, a suggestion. Some people love it right out of the gate. Some people will go through many rounds of sending it back to me.
And do you discuss that with the captain and the chief stew, or is that straight to the
First thing I do is send it to the captain and the chief stew,
mm-hmm.
just to make sure that maybe they're aware of something that I don't know, like a night off or an occasion, a birthday party, a wedding anniversary. Or sometimes it could be that, on day 5 of this 8-day charter, we are going to be in the most perfect sunset position. So if you could elaborate on the cocktail hour canapes and push dinner later, for example. It's always great to get their feedback.
Okay.
And the chief stews know a lot about what they'll be drinking.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's fun to get some pairing involved.
Match that up.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's the next day? So you've got your menus back. So let's say the guests are happy with the menus.
Okay.
What do you do next?
Broker's happy, guests are happy.
Everyone's happy because this is the perfect charter, right?
Oh, the perfect charter. Well, the perfect charter, then I can get into what can I get depending on where I am.
So provisioning.
So provisions.
Is there anyone you use like locally here, like a big agent or anybody like that? Or do you prefer to get it yourself?
I prefer a mix, and it really depends on where we are, because there are plenty of opportunities when you're someplace like here in Fort Lauderdale,
mm-hmm.
and there is someone I use for gourmet goods. His company is called Caviar Exclusive.
Oh, yeah.
He's a one-man show. He can get outstanding things from all over the world.
And that's here in Fort Lauderdale?
He's here in Fort Lauderdale.
Caviar goods?
Caviar Exclusive.
Caviar Exclusive.
And he's so personalized. He knows a lot about what he's talking about.
And he gets everything. So
he gets
meats,
everything gourmet.
Fish. So this is your more special items.
Caviar, foie gras. He can also get, A5 steaks.
Your Wagyus.
Yeah, and I don't get any bulk items from him. Mm-hmm. I get really specialty.
So where'd you go for your bulk items?
So if I'm here and I have the time, I could go to Restaurant Depot, or I could place an order with Bush Brothers. Mm-hmm. I think Bush Brothers does a few things particularly well, and I've tried a lot of vendors.
Yeah.
And Bush Brothers has packaging down its perfection. And
they're based in Florida, right?
They are, they are. And they'll deliver right to the boat. No matter, as long as you're in the States, wherever you are, they will come. They don't call you from the gate and say, oh, can you come meet me? No, they will come exactly to you. They really know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's good. And so where are you getting your produce from?
Produce? Well, if I have the time, Chef's Garden.
Chef's Garden.
I love it. I not everything. I'm not going to get my basic carrots from them, although their Thumbelina and dragon carrots are outstanding. they grow slightly different things every year and certainly every season.
And they're here, they're in Davie, right?
They're in Ohio.
Oh, in Ohio.
And
they ship it to you?
And they ship it wherever you are.
Wow, yeah.
So if I'm in the Bahamas and I need them, I need to use a provisioner. Shoreside Support.
Shoreside Support, Tommy
awesome.
Baldwin.
Yeah, Tommy Baldwin. We're big fans.
Yeah, we are.
I've used Owen Doyle in the past many times.
He's a legend, right? He's been doing it for years.
A long time. Yeah. I mean, Owen has saved me. Christmas Eve, special request. How do you get something on Christmas Eve so that I receive it on the 26th? But he made it happen.
Well done.
Did. Well done, Owen Doyle. These guys, like the people who do that kind of support
they make it for us, right? To go above and beyond like they do is fantastic. And we wouldn't be able to deliver what we can if it wasn't for those guys. So thanks very much. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, provisioners. You make our jobs possible. I mean, I was in the Bahamas for a lot of their lockdown. And
so we left just before you guys, right? We were there too.
Yeah,
and then we left
that's
just
right. We were
lockdown.
right. Our boats were very close. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I couldn't buy salt. I couldn't beg salt. Wow. I was standing outside of Fresh Market with $100 bill. Please give me salt. No, I could not get any salt from anybody. Like it really got, I had to refine soy sauce and tamari and dehydrated porcini and all other kinds of umami flavors. But those charters did not
essential, isn't it?
Get a lot of salt. And salt is critical for lots of things, not just flavor enhancement, but dehydrating and pickling and marinades.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
But, part of the challenge.
Mm-hmm. So, produce, we've done that. So fish, you got a nice place to fish, or you're kind of using your
fish? It depends. So if we're on this boat, we're doing a New England charter, and there's lots of local seafood at pretty much every port. Mm-hmm. But if there's time, my favorite absolute top fish person is Harbor Fish out of Portland, Maine.
Oh, Harbor Fish.
Harbor Fish, they will send 24 hours notice, except for Sundays, but they are outstanding. And they only sell what their fishermen bring in that day, right there.
And they're called?
They're called Harbor Fish.
Harbor Fish.
Out of Portland, Maine. Lots of people argue about lobster, oysters. For me, the colder the water, mm-hmm. the better the taste. And they have it down. And there's not a lot of industry in these Maine waters, especially Casco Bay Islands and far out of the coast, not so far that we're in international water, but these fishermen really, even in November, and I mean cold, it's cold, but they get the most perfect oysters. Chebiga Island oysters are my favorite. Yeah. Hard to get. They only produce a certain number every year, but when I'm lucky enough to get them, I think they're the best. Fantastic.
So we've got all the provisions on board now for our perfect charter. Run me through a normal day. What time are you up? What time are you in the galley?
I'm not a morning person, so I start my day. I need to be in that galley usually 5 a.m.
5 a.m.
I need to turn on the oven at 5 a.m.
And do you make your own pastries and things like that for breakfast?
So I do keep backup stocks of croissants, but nothing else. So, Whole Foods has started selling these great small croissants.
Yes, I've seen those.
They're standard, but they're made with really nice French butter. They're super easy. It saves me, 2 days of labor because I try and in advance of a charter, stock up on some things that help me get through it.
Yeah, for sure.
So
are there any tips and tricks to help you?
Yeah,
get
sure.
ready?
I mean, a typical charter day is so busy and full of unexpected requests that come up.
For sure.
And all kinds of other things that can just happen on a moving vessel.
Mm-hmm.
Power issues, water issues, crew needs, all kinds of things. And I find that keeping some really interesting sauces is the key. So I make a lot of my own stock. I start doing it weeks in advance if I can. Like right now, I have a whole bin of already just from making crew food and keeping bones and scraps of vegetables. I make stock pretty much every single day during a yard period. I freeze it all and I make all kinds of stock.
Mm-hmm.
mixed meat. Some of them are seasoned, some of them are not. But stocks with really interesting flavors are the key.
Yeah, because you can just whip them out, add them to a cream
Exactly.
or a different
It's
sauce,
really,
and off you go.
you know,
right?
you can make a slurry out of, all kinds of different binders. If somebody's gluten-free, you can use dehydrated potato. You can use cornstarch, like in a lot of Asian dishes. There's all kinds of things, quinoa flour, and now more than ever, there's all kinds of options. So if you can make a slurry, you have an outstanding stock, all different kinds. And then when you travel around to all these places, you're going to the grocery store if you're lucky, and you can grab an unusual dehydrated chili or some cool, unusual mix with a sesame seed base. That's really my favorite bases, because sesame seeds have that natural, not only texture to the tongue, but kind of nice earthy taste.
Yeah.
And I love those stirred into sauces of all kinds. And it also gives, you can tell people it's sesame based and they feel better about what they're eating.
They feel better, right? So you up at, you say 5 in the morning?
Well, I got to start by 5.
In the galley. So what do you do first? Who are you prepping for first?
First, I'm doing I'm starting the pastries, and I really get into the bread baking on board. I like to offer interesting bread baskets at every meal.
So do you have your own sourdoughs and things on board?
I do. Actually, I'm quite lucky. My uncle, for about 20 years now, has had a sourdough starter, and he gave me some, dehydrated it, and I carry it with me pretty much everywhere I go.
Wow.
And then every
time...
Must
be fun at customs when you're trying to fly somewhere.
Well, it's dehydrated, so, it's just rolled up.
Yeah.
But I also, every time I'm in Italy, they have outstanding commercial sourdough starter called Lievito di Madre. And Lievito di Madre, sourdough starter, and if you're in a pinch, that will save the taste of, if you show up and all of a sudden you've got to produce bread with no time to make sourdough starter.
Yeah.
This produces beautiful taste. And then once you have one dough, you're set for the season.
Ready to go.
You're ready to go. Yeah. So that's the dehydrated starter is absolutely a game changer.
Fantastic. I'm gonna have to try that. I'm gonna look for it. Yeah,
I'll give you some.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Thank my uncle.
So who do you do? You do breakfast first for guests?
Well, first I try and make, and thank you, Thermomix. Without a Thermomix, I would not get along.
I love my Thermomix.
Thermomix is the only machine worth having in the galley. When you're short on space, for me, that's the only thing worth having. And thanks to Thermomix, I usually can knock out 9 different bread doughs, but before 6 a.m. I just, set them out in their bowls, with their labels, and then throughout the day, bake off and mix as needed, and they just stay on the counter ready to go.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, Thermomix.
So who gets breakfast first, crew or?
I always send down crew breakfast by 7.
By 7.
And then it depends. All guests are different, as you know. So I've had guests who meet me in the galley at 10 to 5.
Yeah, I've had that.
And are like, hi, good morning. Yeah. And those are the days I wish I drank coffee. And then, you have guests who get up late, or sometimes they love to go out and do an excursion before breakfast. And sometimes breakfast is later. So I prep all of the things for guests, pastries at the ready, fruit platters, omelet station things, just off to the side, so that should an order come in, I'm ready. I bake bacon. I bake it all, and then just crisp it at the last moment. Otherwise, it's just too much,
Yeah, it is. It's that oven space, right? You need that oven space.
I need the oven space, but I also need the burner space. I can't allocate all that time and grease in the air. So I try and knock all that stuff out and crew breakfast before 7 a.m.
For 7, yeah.
And then if breakfast orders roll in, I get straight into that. Otherwise, I'm immediately prepping crew lunch and guest desserts. And then the day continues.
Then do you have any kind of like ritual or like music or anything you listen to in the galley to kind of keep you going?
Yes, absolutely. As anyone who's ever been on a boat with me before can tell you, music absolutely keeps me going.
Yeah, I saw your, I've got your playlist actually from the last edition. Yeah, it's really good.
Thanks. Yeah,
Such
that
an
really,
eclectic mix.
It is a big mix. I like to start the day with classical music.
Right, so you feel
I love
posh.
cello. I love violin.
You kind of dance to it. I can imagine you like.
I dance around a lot in the galley, and sometimes to the dismay of, should the captain be right above me, to the captain, I sing in the galley.
Oh, you're a
lot.
singer.
I am. Some people sing in their car, in the shower.
I sing in my car.
Okay, well, I sing in the galley, and I'm not a singer, but it doesn't stop me.
No, and it shouldn't. No, you should let that out,
Actually, it's kind of a no-brainer stress reliever, and it's bonding because crew are walking by all the time. Who knows what's happening in their day on other parts of the boat. I don't know about, I'm not privy to, but sometimes one song or my own happiness, like doing my thing, but being in that moment with music is infectious. And then other people are like, oh, well, whatever happened back there, it doesn't matter now because we're singing Donna Summer or whatever, you know what I mean? Or
that's an interesting point.
It is.
How do you deal with other crew members? Like, do you get along with them? Do you take...
For the most part, not always. It's high stress. It's often very international and all kinds of different ages and backgrounds. And not everyone is a fit. That's just life.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, and there's only a small number of people on a boat generally, right? So if there's a little bit of friction, it can build up, right?
Nobody's perfect, but I have found over the last few years and several boats that what works for me is, as I said, music is critical, but also, and everyone is going to think I'm so hokey, but I put Post-it notes over my bed that say, your best is good enough, or
like affirmations.
Yeah, affirmations, and also things that remind me that other people's stress I can listen to, but I don't have to participate in.
Yeah, you don't need to pick those bags up, right?
Yeah.
Just have a look inside, tell them it's going to be okay.
Well, yeah, and I find that the chef, no matter where I am, and this has been true my whole career, probably for you as well, is also treated like the classic bartender. People want to come to the kitchen, to the galley, crew, guests, everybody, and they want to talk to you about whatever is bothering them.
Yeah, for
on
sure.
vessel,
like an
off
agony
vessel.
aunt, right?
And
to get a cup of tea or coffee, sit down. So let me tell you about this.
Well, luckily there are no seats in the galley. There are no stools. There are no seats. Keep it moving. Yeah. No, I'm happy to listen. But sometimes when you're in such a small space, it's hard not to want to help and participate.
You invested,
even
right?
with good intentions. It's a mistake. It's 100% always a mistake.
It is.
Just listen and do not get involved. Just listen to everybody equally. Like my tagline, what I say to people is, I'm always here to listen, but I cannot help you. If you want to listen,
yeah, I mean, it's a lot to take on, isn't it, with everybody?
It. But yeah, because you also don't know, as I said, so much goes on in a vessel that we in the galley can be completely unaware of, and whatever we hear going on the radio is like a small little piece of what's actually happening in everyone's world. Just like for everyone else, they can't know what's happening in the galley. Only we know, I lost the burners, or the oven's overheated, or, oh shit, the fire alarm went off, or, and nobody's in the bridge, so the general alarm's gonna go off. We better fix this. I find that compassion is a great way to keep going with crew and create that bond, but don't get involved.
What do you like to do on time off, or after a charter? So charter's dropped off, drop off day routine. What's your routine? What do you like to do?
Drop off day is still pretty busy because I need to deep clean the galley, clean the fridges, take the hood apart, clean the ovens, do an inventory, review what's next, and often I still have to feed the crew.
Yeah. And you do all that on a drop-off day? That's a normal routine for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I have to do it immediately because a busy charter boat, guests could be coming the next day. Sometimes you have 24 hours, sometimes 48 to flip it. But depending on where you are, all that time is taken up trying to get provisions and menu approvals and all kinds of things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I was on Excellence for 2 years, and we often did 2-day turnarounds, 3-day turnarounds.
Yeah.
And you just gotta roll.
G3 was very, very busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, 18 plus charters a season, very busy.
Yeah, very busy.
So I learned how to stay ahead as best possible.
And how do you deal with your mental health and the stress of it all?
Well, as I said, music helps, but really having a great crew that you make a big effort to interact with, not just how's your day going, but hey, what kind of music do you like? Because I'm going to play it in the galley. And if you see, I always try and get chefs to talk to their crew. Like whenever chefs are asking me things like this, I try and get them to say, not only when's your birthday, but what's your favorite meal, or when you're stressed out, what makes you feel better, or, you know, those kinds of things that you can just casually ask and then put them in your rotation, plan on them, let them like pop up through the week unexpectedly, and people get excited.
Yeah, that's clever. Do you do a rotation menus for crew?
I do. I try and get the crew to tell me their favorite like 4 meals, and then I rotate through them, and inevitably favorite meals also have a story behind them.
Yeah.
So then while they're eating this, someone can say, oh, this is the thing I asked for, and last time I had this was when I went to this place. And then people get to share something about themselves, and it's a happy time. You know, food doesn't, as we all know, just provide nourishment, but it is
it's the memories, isn't it?
It's a memory. It's like happy times together, and it's also encouraging and exciting. Like, I ate this when I was in Thailand. Oh, I've never been to Thailand. You should go, and you should go to this place. And oh, if you go, I'll link you with this person. And then your world gets bigger and happier.
And richer.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Talking about travel, where have you traveled? What's been an outstanding place that you've been to? I
have been going to Italy for a really long time, and I keep going back. And actually, I hope that soon I'll be able to buy a little farm there and cook for my friends and family, and have a small spot where even some random traveler who I might run across, I would invite over, like those early San Francisco spaghetti days.
Going all the way back, full circle.
Maybe a little more than spaghetti.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. So
do you do anything in your spare time, your time off? Do you have an exercise routine or something you like to do?
There are lots of things I'd like to do. I don't always get to, and it's a challenge. I'm 50, and I'm often one of the older people on board. Sometimes the captain is younger than me, sometimes a little bit older.
Yeah, I've done a few boats where I'm older than the captain. Yeah.
And something I think that people, especially chefs who have dedicated so much time day in, day out, and all their travel and all their extra time to furthering being a chef, can neglect workouts. And it's also a stress reliever, if you say. So I try and do a little bit of yoga in my cabin, and I stretch in the shower. So I always take a shower after my day, at the end of the day, because I don't want to get into bed smelling like food.
Yeah, right.
So in the shower, I try and do some really like simple stretches. So I do,
not downward dog.
there's never a shower going to be on board big enough for that. But like shoulder rotations, elbow stretches, wrist, certainly hip mobility, and it kills 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to stretch in the shower, right? Because of the hot water and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
and
I've started doing saunas recently.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
So you do like 10 minutes in, minute out, and stresses the body, and it's meant to be really good for you.
Oh, yeah.
For your cardiovascular.
I've heard that doing the cryo system is also great.
Oh, like when they freeze you?
Yeah. It's supposed to be really rejuvenating. I haven't been able to do it yet, but I think it'd be great for chefs.
Sounds cold.
On days off.
Sounds really cold.
But it also probably really helps with inflammation, which we all get. Repetitive movement exercises are a common issue for chefs.
Yeah, it's true.
And
standing on your feet all day, boat moving.
Yeah, if there are things that we could put into our rotation, I think that'd be a good one. But yeah, I love kickboxing. I love roller skating. I love. I'm not a runner. I wish I was, because I always think that would be the perfect yacht crew workout.
Yeah, I love to run.
Yeah.
And I've done it a lot. Yeah, whenever the boat's got some time off in the morning, I'll go for a run.
Yeah, if you're even if you get up early enough and the guests aren't up yet, and you
I don't know about on charter.
If you can schedule the time. I mean, I knew a deck who his shift started at 5, like mine. He would get up at 4 every single day to get in like a intense half an hour workout.
Wow. Yeah, that's intense. Right?
And it was impressive. But then that's also something that I wouldn't work out with him in the morning because I'm way too busy. But when we were off and at anchor, we'd work out together and get other people involved. And then we got a little yoga group going together.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing not only keeps each other fit and connected, but a lot of yachties, I think, fall to excessive drinking. And when you have other things that you do together than just drinking, it's great to keep it healthy.
It is definitely great to keep it healthy.
Yeah.
So, Patricia, you've worked on land and in sea. Which one's your favorite? Which one do you enjoy the most? Sea?
100%.
Yeah.
It's challenging. It makes me have to be a lot more organized than I would normally be on land, and it makes me have to look ahead. I mean, I was a private chef and a caterer for a long time. I'm used to being organized. I'm used to having plan Bs. Yachting is a different level.
So you've cooked for some fantastic people, right?
I have.
Because you've done land stuff, and you were telling me about the Oscars and things like that. Do you want to name drop a couple of people you've cooked for?
I have, because I worked for Wolfgang Puck and did catering for him, I was cooking through his catering company for the Governor's Ball of the Oscars and many other big award shows. I worked for MTV doing the movie awards and the video awards, where I'm exposed to up close and personal with many, and I've certainly cooked in many celebrity homes as well in LA, and otherwise a lot of ultra high net worth individuals and some politicians.
Wow, that sounds like you've made some great memories.
I have.
Are there any
I've
that stand out to you?
Yes, I was one of the chefs hired to cook for former Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon many years ago in Los Angeles. And even though I'm not a big meat eater, I think I developed other skills that made me a pretty famous meat-focused chef. And so I was often called in to do very large events. I've worked meat stations for up to 5,000 people.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
With a lot of high stakes. And when I did this party for this donor and Prime Minister Sharon, it was so fascinating to see all the different groups that come together for an event like that, because we certainly had local police, LA County, we had state police, there were Secret Service, there were other members of the government, there were Israeli government officials, defense officials, Mossad agents, and it was really fascinating to see the organization and the innate kind of routines that are in place for events like that everybody just understands.
Yeah.
And my best memory, though, is I used to drive around this very old Volvo station wagon. I'm a huge fan of Volvos, and they are workhorses. And I was driving around this old Volvo station wagon, and to get to that event, I drive up, and one U.S. Protection Service person and one Israeli took my car. They took it apart completely took it apart for safety's sake. And not just, I've been many places where they check for the bombs, they have the dogs, they have the mirrors, but they took it apart. And at the end of the night, when I get back and they hand me my keys, and somebody in a golf cart brings you to your car, they bring me to my car, it was perfect. It was better than any mechanic I'd ever been to. They did the best job.
If you could cook for anybody, past or present, dead or alive, who would you cook for, and what would you cook?
Well, instinctually, I would cook for my dad. He passed away a few years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
That's okay. Thank you. And I got a lot of inspiration from family events, and he took such pride in cooking what he knew under any circumstances. I'm an Army brat. We moved around quite a lot, and he really always made traditional family things that I still make for my friends, my family when I can, and I make on board. They're great comfort things, and people love them.
Yeah. What's your favorite comfort food?
I really love soup.
Soup?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? What kind of soup?
Soup is my favorite thing to make. It's my favorite thing to eat. Every kind of soup. That's the thing about soup, right? Soup can be so simple and basic, right? Think about court bouillon or, consomme takes some refining, but at the heart of it is very simple.
Yeah, I used to have a friend when I was in the Army that used to say soup is a solution to all problems.
Oh, I would like that person.
So we would often sit down and have soup, and then afterwards, things aren't so bad, right?
And soup, you have to be slow when you can't just, you could take a shot of soup and run away, but it's not enjoyable and it's not going to do much for you. Soup, you can work on for half an hour, you can work on for 3 days, and it's all over the world. And with very simple changes, you can make a whole different thing.
And so nutritious as well.
And right? And really nutritious. I have some Vietnamese family, and the way they approach soup, like pho, is the bones of it are so similar to ramen or to chicken broth, and matzo ball soup, but the starch changes and the herbs change. Mm-hmm. And I find it so fascinating how, cilantro instead of oregano can produce something completely different.
Yeah. Do you notice any food trends that are happening, like from charter guests or from crew, things that you're not starting to see more and more people requesting?
What I see a lot of requests, of course, a lot of people are very carb conscious, although that is starting to abate. It's not as much as the last few years. I'm getting less requests for carb alternatives, but what I am getting a lot of is a lot of Asian food.
Asian food, yeah.
Yeah, in general, not just everybody wants sushi, everybody wants sashimi. But
I start to see ramen and things like that, right?
Ramen, but also a lot dumplings of all kinds have been very popular.
I've been cooking a lot of dumplings lately.
Yeah, a lot of Indian food has been a big request. So really, the continent in general, people have been really Japanese focused or Thai focused the last several years. But I've had requests for lumpia or crispy pata, Filipino dishes. Malaysian food with really interesting curries, and as I said, Indian. Those requests are coming up more and more, and they really do also reflect the international kinds of guests that we get and the crew.
Yeah, right.
I've yet to be on a boat where the crew doesn't love every kind of curry.
Mm-hmm. Curry is always a big winner for crew.
It really is. All kinds of curry. I would like to say, if you ask me that, who would I cook for again?
Yeah.
I still mean it about my father, but because I think he'd be pleased where I've arrived. But I would say Jose Andres, because I would like to give back.
So who are the new up and coming chefs that you see in the industry? Who do you think's kind of hot right now and doing well?
I think what we're going to see a lot more of are older chefs my age and even more. I think because of COVID and the global climate of lockdowns, a lot of restaurants shut down, and there's a lot of really talented chefs who never considered yachting before, who have a ton of experience, know absolutely how to handle stress, have worked in all kinds of international cuisines. And I think they're looking at yachting as not only a way to further their career and continue to be out in the world, but also get to work with more international clients and keep going.
Yeah. I'd never really thought of that. Yeah, that's really interesting. If you could give some advice to yourself when you first started yachting, you go back and give yourself some hints and tips, what would you say?
Don't bring on a lot of clothes.
Yeah.
Cut the clothes, cut the toiletries. You're never going out.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, and always bring a band. A workout band, a reflection band. I use a yoga strap to help me stretch. Even in my cabin, there's not a lot of room, but I try and elevate my feet at night. And one of the things I do simultaneously, multitasking all of our time, is I will stretch the back of my heels, but also the hamstrings. And at the same time, I'm stretching my lower back. And you can do that with just a few inches above your head.
Yeah, well, I used to have a band on Excellence, and I would do little workouts in my room with the band. And yeah, it's just really clever and small.
So easy, exactly. You can fit that into anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tell me about your latest endeavor. What's the future for Patricia Clark?
I want to keep doing yachting for several years, but simultaneously, I'd like to get this little farm going in Italy. And part of that allows me to not only grow my own food, which I used to do a lot of when I worked in California.
Do you think you'll do that on boats?
I'd like to do that on boats. I'd like to see that more, not just from myself and other chefs, but in yachting in general, because yachts are primed for that.
Yeah.
They have so much sun exposure.
Their own environment as well, right?
They're in a great environment, really lots of natural wind, natural yeasts. Often when we're at ports, we get a lot of bees coming around. Every crossing, I see tons of bees all over the boat. They're really attracted to it. And I think there is a real potential for lots of boats to set up not just herb gardens in your window, but grow actual produce on your sun deck, or even a vertical garden on any of the bridge deck aft, main deck aft, even along the bow, you could have something.
Yeah, you
could.
And
I'd like to see a lot more of that, and I'd like to participate in it.
We've just bought for the place that I work at an urban cultivator, and it looks like a little under-counter fridge, but it's actually a cultivator. You put water in, it hooks up to the water system.
Interesting.
And it creates the perfect environment for growing microherbs. But you can grow carrots in there and lettuce and everything.
Oh, yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. Hopefully it comes soon and I'll get it hooked up.
I'd love to see a video of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to invite you. So thanks so much for coming today and speaking to me here at LMC. How can people get hold of you or find out where your food pictures are and things like that?
I have an Instagram, and that is All Five Senses.
So that's All Five Senses?
The words all together, yeah. All Five Senses.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Nice to see you again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time for more chefy content on Triton News.